What's up, guys? I didn't even put some music on for you. That's my bad. Well, this Clemson Georgia Tech game is going a little bit, I did think Georgia Tech was favored to win 2 out of 3 here, but I did not expect Friday night to look like this. And Tate McKee's looked absolutely fabulous. And with a 9-run lead, you got to ride him as much as you can. Best case scenario here, he can get you into the 8th before maybe he's pulled. Like, that's best case scenario. I don't think he's going to go CG, but if he can make it to the 8th inning, not have to finish it, you're in. And then you can throw kind of a guy that you don't pitch a whole lot. That would be best case scenario for Georgia Tech. Are you guys watching it right now? He's still sitting 90, 92, 94. Into the 8th, he's at 65, dude. He's a junior. He should be able to go 100 pitches. Certainly 5 weeks into the season, he should be able to go 100. But the longer this, if he gets a quick out here, I think it's definitely doable. Thoughts on the DeRosa situation from ACC Baseball Buzz? Yeah, not good. And if what you're saying right there about being out late in Houston, that's definitely not good. Obviously, if the story is what he said, that, they were just hanging out in the clubhouse, kind of chilling, having a few beers, talking, probably telling stories. That's what baseball players are really good at typically. I have no problem with that. But yeah, if they were out late, that's bad. Like essentially celebrating making it. Yeah, but I think it's overblown. It's overblown how big of a issue it is. Don't get me wrong. Like, the consequences would have been really bad if the U.S. didn't make it. But, like, there's a problem with the WBC format when you need a PhD to understand the tiebreaker format. Yeah, ACC baseball's got the dope. Room 40. Oh, that looked like a pretty good pitch right there, Dust. This is now a big situation here. Like, you can afford to have Clemson scratch one across here. That's still a huge win, obviously. You don't want them to put a crooked number up in this inning, but I think you got to stick with Tate McKee here. I think good meeting here by, I'm assuming, Matt Taylor. Settle him down. He's right around the zone. He's not missing by much. Room 40. Yeah. How about him doubling down on it today and claiming he knew it the whole time? Yeah, and again, it could have been. You gotta like, I'm willing to give Mark DeRosa the benefit of the doubt because I do think he's like a really good baseball guy, and I hate that he's kind of an old school baseball guy and made this kind of a mistake. But he also could have just been like not dead serious. He could have been like, yeah, we've essentially punched our ticket. In his mind, that's what he meant. But obviously, what he said sounded like he thought they don't need the game tomorrow. It doesn't matter at all. Or the game today or whenever, yesterday, didn't matter at all. I'll tell you what, McKee's changeup has looked really good tonight too. Throwing it to righties. Good pitch. I'll tell you what, man. You know what the difference is in this start? And I'm not acting like I'm a genius or whatever, but I've been talking the last couple weeks about how he just needs to throw that sinker more. It's 92, 94. It's got serious run and sink on it, especially to right-handed hitters. He's doing a great job keeping it down the zone tonight, and it's just like setting up all his other pitches. He's getting ahead of guys. 954. What's up, 954? Man, GT is a problem. Yeah, the offense is. Yeah, the offense is legit. I will say, Knock did not have his typical velocity tonight. He was kind of like 90, 92 for the most part, and I remember him typically being like in the kind of 92, 95, maybe touching a 6. So I don't know what's going on there, but his velo was definitely down tonight. Changeup was still disgusting. GT is a wagon, yeah. The offense is generationally talented, that's for sure. And this is bad now. You had 0-2, and now you've gone all the way 3-2. I don't think so, Dusty. I remember his velocity being higher than that. For that former GT standout and Maris standout, Joseph Manley is on this live tonight. Wow, that's high praise. That's high honors right there. See, I don't like. Yeah, I mean, I think the sequence here fell apart. You're ahead of Purify 0-2, which is again 0-2 as a right-handed hitter. You just pump that sinker down and in, it's an out. And just really no competitive pitches. I mean, that last pitch was great, but it's a changeup. I want to challenge. You're ahead by 9 runs. I don't understand throwing a changeup there. Just pump a sinker right down the middle and jam the hitter. I do not understand the and now you've kind of you had a chance to get out of the inning pretty quickly, and now you've added another 10 pitches on top of McKee. 9-0 game pitch to the score. Name of the game is efficiency. Yeah, I mean, you're up 9-0. Like, if he hits a 3-run home run, he hits a 3-run home run. Who cares? But then you pitch. You try to make a perfect pitch 4 straight pitches in a row, and credit Purify, he just laid off all of them. But no fouls. If you were 0-2 on a hitter and you end up walking him, and he didn't even foul a couple off, that's bad. That's not a good sign. And now you got to face a lefty, which again, now it's a worse matchup. It's a worse matchup. You should have just hammered a fastball there. Well, I mean, Dusty, I could not have foresaw that 13 pitches ago we'd still be in this inning with how he was throwing it. It's a big situation here. And see now, obviously the sinker is a massive weapon against right-handed hitters, but it's a liability against lefties because if you leave it over the plate, it's just going to get barreled. So now you have to kind of pick at the zone, maybe throw a changeup here 1-1. I like a changeup here 1-1, and then you can kind of maybe go fastball up. And it was a changeup, but not anywhere close to the zone. And I think you just got to go after him now. Sorry, you can't throw an off speed here. You got to try to make a good pitch, down and away sinker, or front door sinker that starts a little bit in off the plate and turns into a strike. All right, so now he's going to come out. So the first meeting was just Von Lackey going out there. Okay, so I'm a little bit off on that now. I just don't know. He might as well have gone out there the first one. And essentially all you're saying here is like, listen, boys, we're up 9-0. Throw it right in the zone. I'm hoping that's what's being said. Get us out of here. Let the sinker play. The thing is, most college hitters have never or don't really face a true sinker very much in their career. You may face a couple guys that have a true sinker with really good velocity. Most of them are going to be like kind of two seams that, they got some run, they got maybe a little bit of sink, but it's not like a true sinker. When McKee's when he gets his best sinker off, it's legit. And I mean, I think you gotta stick with Tate here and hope he can get out of this inning, and then you can bring him back out for the 6th. There you go. Look, 2-1 fastball, good pitch, outer third. I think you just go at him again here, though. I don't think you mess around and try to get a chase, because then you're close to a bases loaded walk, and then Clemson's going to feel like, all right, wow, what a slider. What a slider. That's big. And now you can bring him back out there for the 6th. That's big pitch. Started that. Let's see. So to the hitter, from the hitter's perspective, that looks like a fastball inside corner out of the hand. And if you make your decision too quick, that's what happens. Your swing, you don't even get close to it. Tate McKee slider or Jose Barrios cutter? Well, I would probably go with Jose Barrios cutter, even though I do have a 500 career batting average on Jose Barrios. Just saying, you've only ever fought one off for a backside single? I'm not denying that, man. I've fought some off for some extra base hits, but yeah, they're usually backside or pull side or up the middle. ACC baseball buzz. That's very true words. But would you rather have someone, strike out, strike 3, or fight one off for a single? Hey, Coach, how was your day? How's your family doing, brother? Everyone's doing great. Juan, I believe your name is Juan. Welcome back into the stream. Everyone's doing great, man. Appreciate it. We're just watching this Georgia Tech Clemson game, which has become that was really Clemson's first threat all game there in the bottom of the 5th. They've been pretty quiet since the first couple innings, where McKee did have a couple walks. But that's the other thing about McKee this year is, he's still walking like 4 per 9, which is, it's okay. It's not bad, but it's not great either. But his walks are always, it's not like he's walking 2 guys in an inning. It's like one guy. If he is walking a guy, it's one guy in an inning. And then Burris just, the opposite field home run. You could tell he knew he hit it good. Based on the swing, you thought, I don't know if it's got enough, but you could tell he hit it on the barrel, but he was out front. There's definitely some wind aided on that, I think. But that second one was, and he did knock dirty, man, because the way he watched it, I thought, oh no, it's going to go foul. And then it was like straight up right field home run, just a moonshot. 112 off the bat, 430. But this arm for Clemson is, this is an uncomfortable lefty arm right here. So anyone that was worried about Burris, kind of a little power outage, he seems to have found it. And Curse has had some great at-bats tonight. A couple late line drives, 1 base hit. Man, Curse is just like a doubles machine here. I mean, Curse is the best 9-hole hitter in the country. It's just, it's professional at bat every at bat. It's line drives everywhere. He's going to hit maybe 2 or 3 home runs at the end of the year. I'm actually surprised he hasn't hit 1, but he's just got such a line drive swing. He never really gets under it. But he's the best 9-hole hitter in the country by far. This lineup is so deep, it's ridiculous. And I thought about it, in the beginning, watching all the hitters come up and seeing their numbers, and for it to be like 16, 17 games in the season, like there's some teams with 1 or 2 guys with those kinds of numbers, but Georgia Tech's got like 6. Like Drew Burris has one of the lowest batting averages on the team coming into the night. It was like 370. This is the kind of guy, he's a right-handed hitter. He's a kind of a sidearm kind of slinger. You got to go opposite field if you're a righty, because you're going to do that if you don't. Like he's going to throw this, he's kind of holding a split grip change. but he's just coming from so far over here. If you think about the plane of that pitch, it's harder to pull that clean. Good changeup, though. Really good. This is Alex Hernandez path right here. This is Alex Hernandez path. It's exactly what he likes to do. Scarier prospect, pitching against this lineup or facing Josh Hedinger in 2014? Probably pitching against this lineup. But Josh was the ace. He was the ace killer in 2014. Although I wasn't there, but I've heard the legends. Took down Rodon. I think a few other guys. Took down a bunch of aces. But this Georgia, now I want to see Hernandez be patient, because he did swing 3-0, and it ended up working out because the right fielder for Clemson just completely zooed it. Like, actually one of the worst. I've never seen a fly ball like that have that happen on it, especially when it's dark. It wasn't like twilight time. But thank you. Oh, Hernandez thought that was ball 4. Canes, what's up, man? Dusty's texting me asking how you comment on YouTube mobile. Bro, figure it out. Where would you bat in this lineup? Lead off. I mean, lead off or 9-hole, or maybe second. But they've obviously they structure lineups differently now. But I would either be. I mean, listen, they got Advincula batting third, and he's a leadoff hitter. So who knows? But I mean, I probably would be hitting leadoff. But with Burris, again, this is a crazy. Oof, that was close. But I mean, listen, this is a type of lineup I was going to say that, you're going to look down the line and you're going to see 3 or 4 big leaguers out of this lineup. Like, that wouldn't surprise me in the world. Wouldn't surprise me at all. I mean, Hernandez. I'm so sold on Hernandez hit tool. Kyle, you'd hit 9th. Haha, are you kidding me? Well, again, it just depends on how you would structure it. Like, they obviously have Burris hitting leadoff because they want him to have a lot of at-bats. He's not your prototypical leadoff hitter, though. But, I might hit 9th. You're right, Dust. It is a different era now, but a little bit easier. Hitting is a little bit easier in this era. So if I'm Advincula, I'm just going to get on top of the plate and just try to yank this guy. Tell UCF, lick it, eat that sweep. First sweep since 2015. What is the score currently? About to pack orders currently. Georgia Tech's up 9-0 in the top of the 6th with 2 runners on and 1 out. Advincula is not seeing this very well right now. He's got to adjust his line of sight. When the guy's throwing from over here, you're not looking up here anymore. You got to look over here. Do you believe in the right field, right left lineup, or the left right lineup, or it doesn't matter in your opinion? No, I think it's 100%. I mean, listen, I don't think you force yourself into that kind of lineup, but if you have the depth to do it, 100% you do it, because lefty specialist guys like Lagurnik here for Clemson, right down the middle. Listen, I mean, they're just having a lefty specialist is a massive weapon in every level of baseball. So if you can limit the back-to-back lefty matchups in your lineup, you do it. But like I said, you don't force it if you don't have the depth. Like, you still want your best hitters hitting as high up in the lineup as you can. And Von Lackey, man, I mean, can you talk about draft helium? He might go top 5 picks by the end of this season. Kyle, does this sound right to you? Draft order: Lackey, Burris, Hernandez, Advincula. Yeah, I think you could say that right now. I think if Burris stays on this kind of power trip, if you want to call it that, I still think he's got 3 years of track record. But certainly, like, it's very conceivable to think Lackey goes really high if he continues to do what he's doing offensively. and higher than Burris. Because again, at the catcher position, that's the catcher position on average has the lowest OPS on every team in the major leagues. So if you think you're getting a true hitter with some power that can play is as good defensively as Lackey, he's going to go super high. I agree, Dusty. This Lagurnick guy is filthy. Yeah, he is. I mean, this is the type of guy as a lefty, you just got to stand on the batter's box white line and hope he hits you, or force him out of the zone. Like, force him out of the zone away because he's scared he's going to hit you. At this rate, might go top 3, top 5. Yeah, dude, I totally agree with you. Like, look at this at bat he's having right here. Like, his at bats have been the most impressive thing. It's just he's having professional at bats. Burris, what's your player comp, coach? Shoot. I mean, I think he's got some Altuve in him, hit swing wise. He really does. Very similar type setups, type swings. But obviously not Altuve's. Well, I guess he did get moved to the outfield. But Burris, it's hard to comp him in center field because there's not a ton of like really short. He's short, man. He's like 5'8". Like, he's not 5'10" or whatever he's listed as. He's like 5'8". So it's hard to comp him as far as an outfielder. What an at bat from Lackey. I mean, just what an at bat. Does Lackey catch the next level, or are they going to save his knees? Yeah, he'll catch the next level, because I don't think anyone right now thinks that Lackey is going to end up being like a 30-plus home run guy at the big league level. I think certainly he could be a 20-plus guy with what we've seen so far this year. But I think you're safely banking on him being a guy that can hit for a high average, and catch and add some pop. Dusty's going to think on a comp for us. Will he stick at center field? Yeah, I think he can stick at center field. I don't think he's an elite defender in center field, but I think like he's definitely an average to an above average defender at the major league level. And you'll only have someone in center over him if they're an elite defender that also obviously is an everyday player. Barring that Burris makes it to the big leagues, because again, there are a ton of guys who don't. I'm not sold on Lackey hitting in pro ball. He can catch in the big leagues tomorrow. I'll tell you what, his swing, and this is going to sound crazy, but I never thought I would say this with Drew Burris on a team, but I think Von Lackey may have the best swing on Georgia Tech's team. It's just, all year, there's a reason he's hitting the ball in the barrel so consistently, because his swing path is on point. And again, I've said this a bunch, like Von Lackey is the greatest coaching accomplishment that James Ramsey's ever done as far as an individual player's development. Because and this is why you got to get up on the plate, because a guy who's slinging it like this, it's going to look like that pitch to Schmidt looks like it's going to go off the plate. That's why he's taking it, because out of the hand, you're like, oh, that's off the plate. And it's not. So you got to get on top of the plate and make that more of like a middle pitch to you instead of an outside corner, outside third. I think Dustin Pedroia, to me, Juan, in size alone, I don't think their swings are similar. JD Martinez thrown out as a comp for Burris. His swings are totally different. JD Martinez, very vertical swing. I think right-handed hitting Drew Gilbert is the best I've seen, but I think Burris is a better like true hitter than Gilbert. Like, I think Burris has a better, in my opinion, Burris has a way higher floor as a hitter than Drew Gilbert, because Burris doesn't have swing and miss, and he has really, really professional at bats. Not to say that Gilbert didn't, but I just think Burris is on another level. And he's been that way for 3 years now. He was a very mature hitter as a freshman, made adjustments quickly. but he's gotten better and better. And really this year, kind of one of the reasons you've seen him kind of slower getting to the power is because like he's just taking his walks, man. Like he knows he's getting pitched around even as a leadoff guy. Like he's just not afraid. And really reason why he was kind of, again, like we thought maybe struggling a little bit is because you could tell he was getting antsy. Like he'd get a pitch somewhat decent to hit and he's pulling the trigger on it instead of being patient and making them come to him. But he's still done a great job. And now you're seeing like he's got his swing. He's got his home run swing now, where you make a mistake, it's a home run. And that's the kind of hitter Burris is. When he's locked in and you make a mistake, it's a home run or a double. It's every time. Burris bat to ball is elite. Yeah. I think like the thing that you have to realize, there's not many guys that have hit for as much power as Burris in college baseball that have that level of bat to ball skill. Usually with the more power, there's the more swing and miss involved. That's not the case with Burris. But certainly Lackey is playing the more premium position as far as when you're getting value in the draft for a position as a hitter. So that's why you could see Lackey go ahead of Burris. And you got McKee coming out here now. Again, he can go through a quick inning here. You're bringing him back out in the 7th. Can we get rid of DeRosa next World Baseball Classic? I think he'll be fine, man. He made a mistake, but I'm not gonna like overreact on it. And you see how hard that sinker is to hit for right-handed hitters. Like it's bottom of the zone, swing right over top of it. Even if he makes contact, it's a ground ball. GT and Georgia have tons of great hitters in their lineup. What's in the water in the state of Georgia? That's a good question, man. I'm interested to see Georgia as they get into SEC play, because you could say that Georgia has really played nobody. And that's true. Still, what they've done offensively especially in terms of power, has been very impressive. But it'll be interesting to see how Georgia looks, because now we saw Georgia Tech last weekend against Virginia Tech score 36 runs in 3 games. And now you've scored 9 runs against Clemson, who you could argue has the best pitching staff in the ACC by the numbers. And look, like I'm not a savant, guys. You see how hard that sinker is to hit for right-handed hitters, because it's running under their hands and it's sinking. So they have to get underneath it and inside it. It's just such a tough pitch. Great pitch. I just bought a full team issued zip full tracksuit from the Georgia Tech football team in my size. Nice, Canes. Tell Ramsey to get me some baseball gear. Tell him don't donate it and I will buy it from him. All right. I mean, there's that inside sinker. Like it's just unhittable. Again, for a college hitter, a lot of these guys don't know the adjustment they need to make to even be able to handle that pitch or have a chance at handling it. So you just keep throwing that. It's gonna be effective, right? Just ground ball right into the dirt. They just throw sinkers in on right-handed hitters. That's what's going to happen. They're going to get jammed and pop up to the infield, or maybe a soft ground ball to second, or they're just going to get on top of it and hit it to shortstop or third every time. And so if McKee can get this hitter here, we could see him come out in the 7th. Miami and Georgia Tech donate all their team-issued gear for all sports, new or used, to nonprofits. Well, I didn't know that, Kane, so... Yeah, you're right, Juan. When you foul one of those off your shin, yeah, yikes. And it's amazing. I would love to see Tate McKee's fastball / sinker percentage in today's game versus the other 4 starts of the year, because he's thrown it way more tonight, and he's deep in the game. He's throwing strikes. He's getting ahead of hitters. He's giving up no runs. And, one thing he's really gotten really good at is manipulating the breaking ball. He can throw the tight slider. He can throw the cutter. He can throw that bigger, like low 80s, high 70s curveball. And And the changeup's been really good for him today too. The changeup's been really good for him today too. This could be a good. I think you just go fastball here, right? Because if you want to bring him out for the 7th, just go at the hitter. You know, don't mess around. Don't go for a strikeout. Just try to get some contact here. But they are shifted to the pull side, so you may have to throw a soft changeup here or a slider. Yeah, changeup. Best sinker that I've ever seen. Shoot, man. I can't remember his first name. He pitched in the big leagues for a decent amount of time with the Mariners. I think it was Mark Rashimsky. Left on left, power sinker. Probably 94, 96, touching 97. What we would call, what professional hitters would call a bowling ball sinker. Like when it starts to sink, a true sinker, when it starts to sink from a hitter's perspective, it looks like it's gaining speed. So we call it like a bowling ball sinker because it's just going to blow you up. So that was probably the best sinker I ever faced, was him. But I faced, a good amount of guys with good sinkers. Justin Masterson, but that was at the end of his career when he was in AAA with the Dodgers. But his was nasty. But that Mark Rashimsky, I believe his name was Mark. First name might be wrong. He was, and it's like a weird Eastern European name, so spelling it is impossible. But it was, I quickly in the at-bat knew I didn't have any chance of making good contact with the sinker. And so I was just going to fight it off. And I ended up working like an 8 or 9 pitch walk. But my entire approach was just foul off the sinker and maybe hope for a hanger. What was your prediction for this series before the game? I was predicting 2 out of 3 Georgia Tech. Solely based on, I think Clemson's got overall better starting pitching, especially on Sunday. Georgia Tech has not announced their Sunday starter yet. And so you think that like the pitching at all will steal a game from Georgia Tech. And now I don't think you're going to see McKee come out for the 7th. He had to get that first hitter, that third hitter, the inning out. I will tell you, I had GT winning the series. Yeah, and the reason I say that is because Clemson's offense has kind of been just okay. You're just going sinker here. Let him hit it. And they call strike 3 on a, that's tough, but probably a little bit low, but good job by Von Lackey framing that. And listen, coming into this game, if anyone said Tate McKee goes 6 innings, no runs, you take that every night of the week. That's a great building. That was not a strike. It was down for sure. It was down. It's why you gotta swing when it's close, man. But yeah, this is a huge step in the right direction for Tate McKee. And I think you can credit that to throwing a lot of sinkers against right-handed hitters. What BBCOR bat brand would you use if you were playing right now, Coach? I don't know, Juan. I don't know enough about which bats are great. I mean, we used the Rawlings 5150. My freshman year was the first year BBCOR came in, and they were terrible. The balls hadn't been changed yet, so the balls went nowhere. And I think back then we thought like the best ones were Nike. But nowadays I have no idea because I'm not swinging them. It's like when you're the one swinging them or you're watching other teams and what they're swinging, you kind of have an idea. But I have no idea. I think for the money they spend, their team just doesn't have that feeling to me. Yeah, certainly the offense is okay. Again, it's not bad, but it's not like there's nothing special about their offense. I do think their starting pitching is really good, but I think we're starting to realize how good this Georgia Tech offense is because everyone knew it was going to be elite. But the question was, you get into conference play, you're facing better pitching. Is it still going to be putting up like 10 plus runs a game? And so far, they are. You know, Virginia Tech's going to beat some really good teams this year. If their offense can score just a decent amount of runs, because their arms were very impressive. Starting pitching, bullpen, they have some talent. So Virginia Tech, I think a lot of people think, oh, probably weren't that good. Their pitching was really good. 954, yeah, one hit given up. Yeah, McKee's one hitter through 6. 5 walks. And I think, some of those walks were kind of self-inflicted, just kind of, instead of going right at guys, you're picking around the edge, trying to get strike 3. And that's a high fly ball, and right field has had some issues. Man, he looks not good in right field. I forget who it is out there. But, I mean, you can just tell. Baseball people know when you see that ball coming down and you look at the outfielder, you can tell if he's nervous or not. And that guy is nervous the whole way that ball's coming down. You see how uncomfortable Baker is on that swing. According to Monty Taylor, which I would assume he got this from the VT coaches, he said that Auburn's Friday night guy would not have been in the Friday-Sunday rotation for VT. He transferred this offseason. I mean, Virginia Tech's starting pitching is very good, Canes. All 3 guys are like mid-90s and can touch. I think a few of them were touching even like 97. Renfro particularly on Saturday. But the Sunday guy is really good as well. Friday guy's a freshman that's in the mid-90s and kind of scatters it. But then they had like 4 or 5 really legit bullpen arms too. So Virginia Tech's pitching is really good. Now, I don't know about Auburn's Friday guy not starting for him. That sounds a little bit kind of hyperbolic to me, but and could be, there's probably a little bit of bad blood there. But he said this in the preseason, and it caught my interest because if that was or is the case, that means they are good pitchers. They have very good pitching. They have very good pitching. They're going to shut down some offenses. And again, with Georgia Tech, like so far this entire year, like you really can't judge a pitching staff's ability based on how Georgia Tech performs because Georgia Tech has just beat up on everybody. If they scratch one more run across here in that would be 3 out of 4 games in ACC play where they've scored 10 plus. And so far in 4 games, they've scored 45 runs in ACC play. And this is a type of arm that I don't think Caleb Daniel has much of a chance on. Because he's got ride. Caleb Daniel's a low ball hitter. And he kind of comes out early. But they, like Canes, he's not wrong. Like their pitching's very good. Yeah. Jeez, I just got. Jeez. And just takes a fastball right down the middle. And I hate when commentators say, Daniel probably looking for another pitch there. It's like, you're 2 strikes. You're just fighting. Like you're not, if you're guessing with 2 strikes, that's not good. And that low strike is now kind of consistently coming in. And so Georgia Tech's 9-hole hitter is leading the country in doubles and hitting over 400. If that tells you about depth of a lineup. And this is a big arm for Clemson. So I'm surprised he's still in the game. I'm surprised they've kept Legurnick in. Like you bring him in to kind of settle it down for an inning. But when you're down 9 runs, I think you just go to some of your kind of mid-level bullpen arms and spread it, get them an inning and hope you can kind of hang on for maybe improbable comeback. But I'm very surprised that Legurnick is still in this game. I'm very surprised because this is listen, this guy's 94, 96. Very tough at bat for lefties and righties so far. And he's burned for the weekend now. He's at 62 pitches. And now you want that pitch back if you're Curse. Who's Miami playing this weekend, Canes? I can't remember who Miami's playing this weekend. Kappa, what up, guys? Good evening and happy Thursday. What's up, Kappa? How you doing, man? We're just watching Georgia Tech Clemson, watching the Jackets just destroy Clemson right now. Really, I kind of thought this was going to be a tight game with Knock on the mound, and it looked like the first couple innings it was going to be. But Georgia Tech just put an absolute destruction on Knock in the third and fourth inning. Duke, we need to sweep them. And there's Curse. There's your 4-hole guy. And that's 10 runs for Georgia Tech. And Carson Curse, man, that boy can hit, man. That boy can hit. I don't know where he's going to go. I don't know what his pro career is going to look like. But he can hit, man. And, you know, the analytics people will say he doesn't hit for enough power and this and that. It's like, okay. I don't know if he's a true shortstop at the next level. I think he's more of a utility guy that can play second, short, third. You can probably put him in the corners in the outfield. But he can hit, man. And I've always said this about Drew Burress. The reason you know he's just a next level talent is in big situations, he comes up big. And, you know, how this is the biggest game of the season for Georgia Tech. He's got 2 bombs. And Mount Burris 1-2 against Legurnick, like you just have to let the ball travel. Let it travel, fight off the fastball, and if he throws you a changeup or a slider and a tongue, you're going to put some damage on it. You just can't get out front here on this type of arm. And it sounds like, you know, a guy throwing 95, but if you can't be fastball timed here. You got to be timed just enough to fight off the fastball. Don't underestimate Duke, though, Canes. Duke is going to be better than I think people think. Big swing there for Burris. So be interested to see who's coming in for Georgia Tech. What's the minimum amount of home runs that a player needs to hit for so they can say that he has power in today's college game? It depends on what you mean by has power. Like, I would say average big league power is 15 plus. Average big league power is 15 plus. I think if you're 20 plus, you got above average, like plus power. So you go off that. Because you have to remember, like, the amount of players in college baseball that hit 15 plus home runs, it's like, I want to say it's like 100, 150. So it's actually, there's actually a lot of players that hit that many home runs over the course of the season. And for example, one of my best friends, Daniel Palka, who was a 3rd-round pick, played in the big leagues, hit 27 home runs his rookie year in the big leagues, and was like almost like a 30 home run type guy almost every year in the minor leagues. He hit 17 his junior year. In that era with the dead balls, dead bats, he was third in the country with 17 home runs. So that just shows you how much the game has changed as far as how the ball flies. Like 15 plus is like, it's impressive, but it's not like plus power at the major league level. 2 out of 3 for sure, no excuses, but I'm looking for 3-0 to get us back on track in the hosting combo. Yeah. A sweep would make you feel, then you're at 4-2. You feel a lot better. Duke is going to end up being a Q2 win, I think. Maybe a Q1. Q1 is 1 through 50 away. 51 through 100 is Q2 away. Yeah, I think Duke is similar to Virginia Tech in a sense that I think their offense is okay, but I think they're going to have some impressive arms. Like when we watch them this weekend, I think you're going to come away thinking, okay, yeah, they're better than I thought. That's what I came away from the Virginia Tech weekend thinking, man, Virginia Tech's record does not show how good they are because they can pitch. I think you just go 1 inning here from Lanky. I don't know if you'd want to burn him. 2 innings. I think the plan's probably you go one inning here for Lanky. No. I definitely think they are a good team, but we still need to sweep them. Duke just didn't go back to didn't go back to the old Duke. Yeah, 100%. It's definitely not like if you're weighing teams in the ACC to sweep, like you're gonna think, all right, BC we can sweep, Duke we can sweep, but it may be harder. So, like if you're gonna play it like that, then yeah, sweep would be huge for Miami. Barks checking in. What's up, Barks? How you doing, man? Just watching this one-sided Georgia Tech Clemson game. And see, I don't understand this at all. You're in the 7th inning, 10-run lead, your 2-2 count. Just throw a fastball. Like it's the worst you can do is walk a few guys and give Clemson a hope that they can put up a crooked number and get kind of not back in it, but like they're not 10 down 10-0. This is going to be tough. And that's fine, right? You didn't walk the guy. I'd much rather that happen. Some dink, unbelievable. This is just kind of a lucky ground ball that bounces off the dirt, goes straight up in the air. Wait, is the run rule on? I think it is for all ACC games. That would be a statement. Yeah, I don't actually know, Canes. I don't know if that's like a league-wide policy or if it's just league-wide. You can agree to a run rule if both coaches agree. ACC baseball is comparable to what level of pro ball, coach? I would say your Friday night guys in the ACC typically have like, let's say it like this. The best like 8 teams in the ACC. Your Friday night guys are usually similar to like high A to double A type arms. You could put them in double A with the stuff they have, and hitters would be like, yeah, this makes sense. Now, does that mean they'll have success at double A or not? No, it just means like you could plug them in double A and you'd think, okay, this guy fits here. Saturday, Sunday is where it gets like more like A-ball-y, high A, unless you have like a really deep weekend rotation. Like if you're North Carolina, maybe you got 2 double A type arms and a high A type arm. But generally speaking, that's kind of what I felt when I got to pro ball, was that you got to high A and double A and you're like, okay, this is kind of like that level of arm. I think it is. Let's hope it is for you guys. It saves arms and it's a statement win, 100%. Sorry, off topic, but speaking of power, not impressed with Zach York at all, considering what LSU is probably paying him. 14 home runs at GCU, meh. Wow, what a play by Curson and Vincula. Yeah, York. I mean, listen, my thing with York is you got to hit for a. You got what a play by Zuckerman too. That was like really good. Really good transfer to Curse there. And the announcers think that's Advincula. But yeah, Kappa, back to your question, like with York, when you got a base clogger like that, like when York gets on base, like he's liability on the base paths because, you know, doubling the gap may not score him. And then all of a sudden, instead of like runner at second with a run in, or runner at third run in, your runners at second and third, no runs in. And that's a bigger deal than I think people understand. So if you're going to be that type of guy on the bases, you better mash home runs and doubles. You better always be on second. And you got to hit, you know? So I think he's a great college hitter, but I kind of excuse me. I kind of agree with you. I think he may be just, you know, is he like the big time power hitter that LSU wants in the lineup that's going to hit 25 jacks? I don't know. It doesn't look like it to me. How many home runs does York have right now, Kappa? Yeah, the coaches from LSU and Arkansas have called out their teams in recent weeks. Well, certainly LSU needed to get called out by Jay Johnson. I think they just hadn't been playing well. Arkansas, you know, Dave Van Horn, you have one off game, Dave Van Horn's going to get on you. That's kind of been his MO. He's always been a guy that will get on his team, not afraid to get on him. And so I'm not as concerned about Arkansas. But when I see, and it's a run rule, Georgia Tech run rule win. Holy cow. I didn't even realize the run rule was in effect. I didn't even think the run rule was in effect. Yeah, so I guess, Canes, you're right. Run rule. Clemson, 0 runs, 2 hits, 2 errors. Georgia Tech, 10 runs, 12 hits, 0 errors. Incredibly clean baseball for Georgia Tech. Very sloppy defensively for Clemson, and they could not do anything offensively. But when I see videos from LSU's players, like they're having a bunch of player-only meetings, and I think one of their freshmen like wrote a note to everybody on the team individually about what they're good at. Like I love that they're doing that type of stuff, but that is a really big red flag warning sign that something is off. If you're this early in the season having those, usually that type of stuff happens when you're halfway through conference play and you know, you go through a little lull in conference. For that to be happening before the conference schedule, if I'm an LSU fan, I'm extremely concerned. Do you think the run rule should also be in the MLB? No, absolutely not. I don't like it in college baseball. You know, I don't like it in college baseball. I think, you know, a baseball game is 9 innings. There was no run rules when I was in college. There was no run rules. 34 scholarships, most NIL, and still belt to A. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's what it was. Statement, 100% a statement win. But yeah, that was man, that game was over quick, man. I mean, game started 7, 2.5 hour game. Run roll. My alma mater, Cal, is going to be how bad this year in the ACC? They look better this year than last. Yeah, they do look better. I think Cal, I think best case scenario for Cal, they finish somewhere in the middle of the ACC. More than likely, kind of the back end of the middle of the pack. If they are going to finish that way, like I do think they have that potential. I don't think they're like I don't think they finish like top 4 or top 6 in the ACC, but I think they could finish around 7 or 8 if they play well. Floor is probably around like 11 or 12. So I still think they're a little bit behind the rest of the ACC, but they're definitely going to be, in my opinion, they're going to be better than last year. Like I think they're better than Stanford. I think they're better than Boston College. I think they're better than Duke, Notre Dame. Well, I'm actually sad this game is over, man. This is the type of GT offense that Georgia Tech fans should spend all their money to travel to watch. It is. It is. I can tell you, Canes, this is the most fan attendance Georgia Tech's had in a long time. Like the home games are packed. Every home game before conference play even started was completely packed. The games I did on the broadcast, I couldn't believe how many fans were there. York has 4 home runs and 2 doubles. Yeah, that's not cutting it. If you're going to be the big bopper that kind of clogs the bases, that's not cutting it. That would be like 4th or 5th in the lineup in Georgia Tech, and Georgia Tech doesn't have anybody hitting a ton of home runs. Von Lackey's leading the team with 8 now? 8 or 9. So 4 home runs is that's not getting it done. Especially against the competition that LSU faced for most of the non-conference play. That's where you would really get your licks in. Clemson fans already tweeting out, I've seen enough. This team will win 42 to 45 games and get bounced in a regional like every year. And the other guys are saying, you're wrong. We won't win that many games. But yeah, I mean, what a statement win for Georgia Tech. Holy cow. Now, tomorrow we have a really nice slate coming up. Obviously, we have game 2 between Georgia Tech and Clemson. And, even though you're riding high, I can guarantee you James Ramsey in the post-game meeting, because I've been in those with him, I know exactly what he's saying. He's saying, hey, this is one game. Like, no one cares that you win Friday 10-0. They only care if you win at least 2 out of 3, and they'll really care if you sweep. And so I can guarantee you his message to the team is like, we haven't done anything yet. So what? We won 10-0 one game. We lose the next 2, no one cares. No one's going to be saying anything. We got Georgia and Tennessee tomorrow at 6 o'clock Eastern. We have Mississippi State and Arkansas in Arkansas at 7 o'clock. That's going to be lights out, amazing baseball. I think an interesting one to watch here is LSU Vandy, because Vandy has not looked good out the gates. LSU has been kind of scuffling lately. So which team's going to figure it out this weekend? One team's going to figure it out. One team's going to get a confidence boost. Is it going to be Vandy or is it going to be LSU? Texas Ole Miss will be a great game, even though Ole Miss did get beat in the midweek by Southern Miss in a walk-off, I believe. But that'll be great. Georgia Tech and Clemson will play at 8 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. So we might be able to do a stream for that one again. Yeah, I'll be streaming tomorrow. It'll be late. It'll be later. I don't know if I can stream right at the start of the game, but it'll be maybe 9:30 or something like that if it's not at the start of the game. So yeah, definitely will be streaming. And then we have, North Carolina, Cal. Like, can North Carolina right the ship after losing 2 out of 3 at home against a good Virginia team? But Cal's looked great so far, 13-4. Can Southern California stay undefeated? They play Northwestern, which Northwestern's got some bats. So it's going to be a good matchup for that Southern Cal pitching staff that's been the best in the country so far at 17-0. And then Florida State, Wake Forest tomorrow. Florida State coming off the loss in the midweek to University of Florida. University of Florida can claim pretty much bragging rights in the state of Florida. But we'll see two good teams in Wake Forest and Florida State. And then, I mean, listen, the ACC, man, you got Virginia Tech versus Virginia too. And don't be surprised if Virginia Tech finds a way to win that series. Don't be surprised at all. But yeah, back to the run rule thing. I really don't like it because I think it is kind of gimmicky to where, like for Georgia Tech, for example, and I'm a Georgia Tech guy, but, now Georgia Tech didn't have to burn anybody. Lanky threw one inning and not a lot of pitches, so he's going to be available tomorrow or Sunday. So you didn't have to use more arms, even though when you're up 10-0, you're probably throwing your kind of pitchers you're not ever going to bring in a leverage situation. But I think, and it's weird for stats too. That's why in the major leagues, I don't ever want there to be a run rule because, you may have a chance of breaking someone's record, whether it's home runs or base hits in a year, even though that's probably never going to get broken ever again. But, when you cut out maybe one extra at bat in 6 or 7 games, maybe more over the course of a season, all of a sudden you got less at bats to break records with. And so I would not support that at the major league level. I understand in some regards in college, cause you're protecting players' arms, but the whole protecting players' arms movement and limiting pitches and everything, the results have been the exact opposite of what they all say they should be. More arm surgeries every year in the big leagues than the year prior. More guys on the DL than ever in the major leagues every year than the year prior. So, we're going in the wrong direction results wise, even though we're saying we're protecting pitchers' arms. I don't know if you pay attention to basketball, but a great pain just ravaged FSU fans. 1 point loss to Duke with a missed buzzer beater. Yikes. No, I don't pay attention to college basketball at all, but I can imagine that was tough, especially coming off the loss to Florida, Big H. I know that was probably not fun for you guys over there at Florida State. But, you take care of business in conference, doesn't matter. I'm actually really disappointed we did not get a couple extra innings that game. It was fun to watch if you're a Georgia Tech guy. If you're a Clemson person, you're just get this game over with as fast as possible. But this is a type of weekend where we could see a shift in the rankings. If Georgia Tech wins 2 out of 3, and, obviously, or sweeps, and Texas is facing a good Ole Miss team, Mississippi State could lose to Arkansas. So there could be some shakeup in the top 5 this weekend. We got some good matchups. Obviously, the top 25, there's going to be some shakeup because you got Wake Forest versus Florida State. If Southern Cal loses Northwestern, Tennessee versus Georgia. If Tennessee loses this series, do they get bounced out of the top 25? Florida versus South Carolina, even though I think Florida should win that series and probably sweep, they could get bounced. UTSA could get bounced if they lose to UT Arlington. A&M could get bounced if they lose to Oklahoma. So there could be a lot of shakeup in the rankings after this weekend. 18 strikeouts and 10 walks was terrible Tuesday. Hopefully we bounce back. Yeah. That's a tough game to win. To win, Big H, when you're striking out that much and you're walking that many guys. Love this W. Great way to kick off the series. That's right, Nancy. Great way to kick off the series if you're Georgia Tech. I mean, that's a statement game, like Kane said. That's a statement. Now you got to win the series, because a statement game means nothing if you don't win the series. But if you win the series and they're like, man, they came in on Friday, and listen, Aiden Knox, one of the best pitchers in the country. For the last 3 years, he's been one of the best pitchers in the country. So to do what they did to Aiden Knox through 4 innings, I believe 8 runs, that was very impressive. And their season is over, Kyle? Yeah, that's what the fans are saying. Bats are so fun to watch, especially against a good pitcher who had 7 strikeouts early on. Yeah, Knock. I mean, I'm telling you, the first 2 innings, I thought, okay, this is going to be it's going to be a tight game. But Georgia Tech's hitters, Knock looked really good through the first time through the order. Second time through the order, he was not fooling them. And that 3rd and 4th inning for Knock were just killer. Need Loy to have a good game tomorrow. Yeah, and I think you know what you're going to get from Loy. The question is he going to be able to get, I think with Loy, he's going to go at least 5. So I think with Loy, you know what you're going to get. And if he's on his game, he's going to keep Georgia Tech in the game. With Loy, from what we've seen so far, he's going to keep you, even if you're behind, you're going to be within striking distance for Georgia Tech. And listen, striking distance for Georgia Tech is a lot of, you could be down 5 or 6, you're in striking distance. But I think Georgia Tech or Loy's a guy who's going to always keep you in the game. If not, just dominate the game. When he's got his A stuff and his A command, he's very tough. Who's going to start Sunday? That's a good question. I have no idea. I mean, Underwood, listen, I do think Underwood gets hurt by pitching after Loy because they're the exact same type pitcher. They're both a lefty that throws a lot of off speed, mixes it up around the same velocity, not quite the same arm angle, if you want to call that, a release point, but it's close. And so you're really facing the same guy twice in a row. So like Loy could do really well. And then Underwood, it's like, oh, we're facing the same guy again. So it's going to be interesting to see who they decide to go with. I'm not sure though. It could be a host of different guys. They could be, I think a good strategy would be Sunday. I think you throw Shattuck out of the bullpen on tomorrow if you need him. If you got a 3-run lead and you're in the 8th inning, bring in Shattuck. But if you don't need him on Saturday, you could use him as an opener on Sunday. Have him pitch 1 time through the order, and then bring in Underwood because now you're mixing up the looks. You're seeing a tall, high mid 90s up to high 90s arm. That's a stuff guy. And then you're bringing Underwood, who's, different, slow, a little bit slower velocity, going to throw a lot of breaking stuff, going to mix it up. And it's a different look. So I think I think maybe best scenario for Georgia Tech as far as Sunday, what it could look like, but we will just have to wait and see. No, FSU basketball season is over. Oh, so the season is over. So they had to win that to get in probably. Isn't Patel supposed to be back this weekend for relief? Do you think they'd start him? From what I've heard, I think he is back. I don't know if they're going to start him though. I just think he did not look good early as a starter. And I think with how valuable he was last year out of the bullpen, I think you just stick with that role for him. So you could see him maybe come in tomorrow. I just don't know if I know he's feeling a lot better. I don't know if he's going to pitch this weekend or not. And you may see him again, if they get out to a big lead, they may get him 2 or 3 innings just to get him back in the groove because he's been out for a while now. So I don't think you're going to see Patel potentially in like a big situation this weekend. I could be totally wrong. I don't know, how he's been progressing. I don't know how they feel like, okay, in the bullpens he's thrown, he's ready to come in a big situation. We'll have to see. Canes, the country is lucky we're not in the tournament. One of the hottest teams and one shot away from beating the number 1 team in the land. So so Florida State's out of it now? Is that legit, or is Canes just kind of rubbing salt in the wound? Canes can't watch GT Baseball live until mid-April in Panama. Oh, wow. So you don't get back till mid-April. Yeah, that was a must win. That sucks. That sucks. Now, I want to see what the Kendall Rogers of the world are tweeting tonight. Has Kendall Rogers even tweeted at all about Georgia Tech? No. And this is what I don't understand. Kendall Rogers may be the biggest name as far as people that cover college baseball. And for him to not have one tweet about this Georgia Tech game is just strange. Even if it's not like his main, even if he really doesn't cover the ACC a lot, it's weird that he hasn't tweeted one thing about Georgia Tech. And Aaron Fitt hasn't tweeted one thing about Georgia Tech either. I'm confused. So the two biggest guys at D1 baseball haven't tweeted a single thing about Georgia Tech beating Clemson as bad as they did. Strange. That's strange. Can actually convince hubby GT baseball letter winner to go to games now. GT is doing well. Yeah, hey, there's no reason not to go. This series is big. Both teams ranked, and it's a good rivalry. 100%. 100%. Do I know anything about Clemson's pitcher tomorrow? Yeah, he's really good. Sharman. I believe it's Sharman. Throws a ton of strikes. Very similar to Knock. Doesn't have quite the stuff that Knock has. At least like the elite changeup that Knock has, but throws a ton of strikes. He had a really good game early this year. I'll tell you his numbers. So Sharman is 4-0. He's got a 0.7 ERA. He's given up 10 hits in 25 innings, 2 earned runs. In 25 innings, he's walked one guy and struck out 26. So he's striking out just a little bit over one per inning. So it's not like he's striking out 2 per inning or anything like that, but he does not throw balls. He paints the strike zone. Really good. But again, a questionable thing for me with Clemson is, Legurnic's been one of their, you could argue Legurnic's been their best relief pitcher all year with how many innings he's thrown. He came into the ninth throwing 14 2/3 and had a 1.2 ERA and 20 strikeouts. And he looked great facing Georgia Tech's hitters, but he's burned now for the weekend. He's completely burned. He threw almost 70 pitches. So he's probably not going to pitch it all the rest of the weekend. And it'll be interesting to see if we see some mix-up in the Clemson lineup because they just did not look great at all. They're live right now on D1 Baseball Forecast, their podcast. They're probably talking about it on their show. Are they really trying to stream over top of me right now? I don't even see it. Are they live? They're not live on X. They wanted the first game for momentum. Yeah, I mean, listen, like if you're Clemson, then I've been on both sides of these types of games. You go back in that dugout and you think, man, especially after losing to Georgia Southern in the midweek. Georgia Southern has not been good. They've been very bad. And so you lose that midweek to Georgia Southern where you basically, I think they scored 1 run, and then you get shut out by Georgia Tech on Friday. You you're in that dugout is like, we're not good right now. That's the thought in your head. So Georgia Tech does have all the momentum. They got they're feeling great after that win. Clemson's feeling terrible. But you still got to take care of business, because no one cares if you win big game one and you don't finish the job. But certainly a series win in Clemson, with how high Clemson is ranked, is going to be massive for Georgia Tech. Oh, they're on YouTube. I don't see it on YouTube either, man. That home run by Burris was just absolutely launched, though. Don't we have a big win over Clemson on the weekend series at Georgia Tech? Killed them, then lost the series. Yes, that was, I believe, last year. That was last year. That was actually, you were ahead. Didn't we have a big win over Clemson on weekend series at Georgia Tech? Killed them. Yeah. Well, we won on Saturday, like some ridiculous number, but Friday, I believe, was you were winning in the ninth and then ended up giving it up. So it should have been a series win, but ended up being you lost 2 out of 3. And that was one of the series. That was basically the series that decided Tech's host chance. Because if they had won that series, because the whole thing was Georgia Tech's ACC schedule was weaker, and they didn't have like a signature win over a highly ranked team in the ACC. And that Clemson series would have been it. Like if they had if they had won that one game, you talk about how important every game is. If Georgia Tech had won that Friday night game, they're a host for sure. Do you also have info on the pitcher that I sent you? I found it weird that he picked Wake, even with their pitching coach at Duke now. Yeah, I saw that. I mean, I think that kid's from like Washington State, right? So, when it comes down to it, who knows what the decision was, but And then Alex Hernandez? What do you mean, Alex Hernandez? Knock is like a very weird, like his stat line before tonight was really strange. He had a 5.2 ERA. In 17 innings, he'd given up 16 hits, only 7 walks, and 30 strikeouts. So Knock's one of those weird ones that he gets a ton of swing and miss, but it just seems like when he does give up contact, it's damage. He had given up 3 home runs in 4 starts, 3 doubles. Had a play at second base where he blew it, I think. It was crazy, man. Yeah, that was it. Yeah, I mean, he kind of a routine play that he just totally whiffed, and then that run ended up coming around to score and tie the game, I believe. And then they ended up, I think, scoring another run in that inning and winning the game in the next inning. Vaughn sure is helping his draft status. Yeah, I mean, like I said, his swing is elite, man. His swing is elite. It gets in the zone. It gets on plane so fast, and it's just on plane forever. And so, again, it's like when you see a guy, and really his approach has just taken another step to the next level this year as well. You know, the difference between his freshman year and sophomore year were light years. And the difference between his sophomore year and this year is like another massive step. It's not light years, but it's another massive step. And again, I've said it tonight already, but I've said it a bunch this year, but like that is Von Lackey is, if you want to look at James Ramsey's ability to develop a hitter, it's Von Lackey, because his freshman year, he wasn't just a not good hitter. I mean, he looked lost at the plate, like just taking pitches right down the middle, chasing stuff way out of the zone. And they stuck with him. And then credit to Von Lackey as well, just like sticking to the process. And he's just like a superstar now. Fun to see him play 8 positions on Tuesday. Yeah. It's kind of one of those like things that like it shouldn't at the end of the season for the draft, that's going to give him a bump, and it shouldn't, because it's like, okay, you know, it's kind of gimmicky thing, especially in the midweek when you're stomping a team, but still, like, he has that ability to play all those positions. Like, that's the non-gimmicky thing about it, is that he actually could probably start at all of those positions. He's that talented defensively. I remember last year him having a couple starts at third, and he made some plays at third where you're like, this guy looks like he's been playing third his whole life. Radio announcer said Zuckerman came to Tech to be further developed. Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think, you know, you're seeing James Ramsey. I mean, Avincula is probably the very same. You know, James Ramsey's winning on some hitters that he knows his reputation as a guy who's turning out big league hitters, you know, right? In the very short amount of time he's been at Georgia Tech, not that short, but I mean, he's turned out a number of big league hitters. And so if you value that in your career, even if you're getting offered a ton of money from other teams, if you look at it like that, you may pick Georgia Tech over some other schools. Like Advincula was, you know, he's considered the best second baseman in college baseball after last year, and you get him out of the portal. Zuckerman was always a power, kind of a, you know, not a great hitter, but he would hit for power. And he made adjustments year by year, but this year he's been great. He's still got some swing and miss, but his approach at the plate's been really good. And when you can tell when he's hunting and trying to go right center, he's locked in, because he doesn't need to pull the ball to take it deep, especially at Georgia Tech when you're at home. So Zuckerman's been great too. And it's been the staple of Georgia Tech's offenses under James Ramsey, is that every hitter, you know, for the most part, every year you're like, okay, this guy is better. You know, you've seen that now for the last 7-8 years, that every hitter, like 95% of them, it's a crazy percentage. Every hitter is better every year. And you're seeing that with Carson Kurtz this year, right? I mean, he just looks like a pro hitter out there. I mean, he's, you know, how many teams would he be hitting 9th on in the country? It's one team. You know, he's hitting over 400 in the 9-hole with, like, I think he's leading the country in doubles. You know, that guy's hitting somewhere in the middle of the order, or like the 2-hole, or maybe leading off on a lot of teams, like on a lot of top 10 teams, on almost every top 10 team. So, you know, the depth of the team, the depth of the lineup. And Caleb Daniel, you know, Caleb Daniel's been a streaky guy. He's kind of not looking great. And then he has like a 2-home run game. And then for a couple of games, he's good. Tonight, he didn't look great. I do think of every hitter in the Georgia Tech lineup, I think Daniel and Zuckerman are probably the most pitchable guys, but that's, you know, again, you look at their numbers and you're like, what do you mean, Kyle? It's like, well, you're kind of grasping for straws at that point when you're looking at this offense. You know, there's not one guy in the lineup you can circle and say, all right, that's an out. You know, even on some really, really high ranked teams, there's 2 guys that, you know, that you can pick out and say, okay, we're going to get that guy out consistently. In Georgia Tech's lineup, there's none. You know, in an average lineup in college baseball, there's 4 guys that you think, okay, we can get this guy out pretty consistently. We can get this guy out pretty consistently. In Georgia Tech's lineup, there's none, which you saw so far all year. You know, we keep waiting for it to slow down, but so far we're not seeing that. We haven't seen it once, outside of a few games where they didn't score 10. But just the offense has just been insane. It's been insane. Oh my gosh. The best thing about college baseball is when you go to the opposing team's Twitter when they're announcing like the final score and they lose. You go through the comments and it's just the other team's fans posting like all these memes and stuff, which I love. Von Lackey's, so here's a good one. Von Lackey's last 10 plate appearances: home run, double, fielder's choice, home run, double, triple, walk, fly out, walk, home run. That's all extra base hits, guys. And a few walks mixed in there in 10 plate appearances. So in 10 plate appearances, he's hit 3 home runs, 2 doubles, a triple, and 2 walks. And he has not struck out. Is that good? Is that good? Wiley Ballard enjoyer finally makes it in after the game. Pie Gal. What I like about the lineup so far, when a few don't have good games, others really step up. Yeah, I mean, it's just you're going to have games, every game, especially in ACC play, someone's going to have a down game. That's just the nature of the beast. But this lineup, it's just like, 5 guys are going to be good probably. And in most lineups, you're going to win a lot of games when you do that. Any chance Ben Dover pitches in? Golly, I let him get me, man. I let him get me there. That sounds like Alonso Alvarez next year. Eric Bakich mailed in a vote for Rashida Tlaib when he coached at Michigan per source. Wow. Yikes. Wiley Ballard enjoyer had a Bible study tonight. He apologized to the chat for his abs. That's the only excuse you're allowed to give, Wiley Ballard enjoyer. I'm actually just like, honestly, I was kind of disappointed. Like, as much as I love that Georgia Tech just looked like basically played a perfect game on all around, I kind of wanted to be in a tight game. Like, I wanted it to be like this huge, it was kind of like a letdown, Like, that series looked like it was going to be and it still is. Clemson's still a good team, but Georgia Tech just made them look like, little bro. But I want to talk a little bit about, I think that was Tate McKee's best game of the year. Like, by far. I mean, obviously it was, right? Maybe you could say, as far as the situation and the context, one of the biggest starts of his career. And I think the game changer was he was just pounding that sinker on the right-handed hitters. Like, I would love to see the difference in his fastball / sinker percentage pitches thrown today versus the other starts, because it just seemed like he was just letting that thing play, and most guys were just swinging over top of it or hitting it straight in the ground. The only time you saw his sinker get hit was when it was up, which, makes sense. And in particular, the first, that first inning. But for the rest of the game, and so what we've seen from Tate McKee in the past is that the off speed, as he gets deeper in the games, like the 4th and 5th inning, it becomes less of a weapon because he's throwing it so much. And hitters are just like, okay, that when you see a pitch so much as a hitter, you just kind of naturally react to it better. But when he's throwing that sinker at a high enough percentage, they have to respect it more. And so they can't really get comfortable and settle in on the breaking stuff. And you saw that tonight. I mean, he was freezing dudes. He was getting bad swings, bad chases on him. And the sinker, again, was just very tough to hit. He gave up one hit. So obviously every pitch was tough to hit tonight. But I think a large part of that was because he threw the sinker enough to keep the hitters honest. And in particular, the right-handed hitters, because if you're going to go after a lefty with his type of stuff, you can go four-seam up. But he's a guy that against a lefty, he's going to throw more off speed because the two-seam, the sinker is not as much of a weapon to lefties. And I've explained that a bunch on here, so I know you guys know. But so if he can go after righties with that sinker, just like, make them prove that they can hit it, he's going to be tough to hit, man. And he's going to be in games deeper because he's going to get a lot of early pitch or low pitch at bats. He's going to have a two-pitch. He had a really quick inning there, I think, in the third. And that set him up for going in the sixth. And again, if he, the last couple innings, if he had the opportunity to get out of innings pretty quickly, but still, again, if you were looking for Tate McKee to kind of show you Friday night stuff type guy, he did that tonight. 6 innings against a really good team, 1 hit, no runs, pitched out of some jams too. Did a great job pitching out of some jams. That was a fantastic game for him. And then with the run rule, the entire bullpen saved. The entire bullpen. I mean, Lanky threw 1 inning. He's available tomorrow. McKee had the backup slider working, the backdoor slider, not the backup slider, Bark said I walked into that. Yeah, I did walk into that, man. I just didn't expect it coming from Wiley, Ballard, and Jory, even though I should have. I wanted the cinema of the game too. That was wild. Yeah, it was like you kind of like if you're a person that just loves like the college baseball tight games, big situations, and there were some big situations early. Georgia Tech just like capitalized on all of them, and Clemson didn't. But you kind of want it, like if you're a Georgia Tech fan, like you want it to be like maybe close for 7 and then they blow it out or something, and you feel like, okay, man, that was an awesome game. But Georgia Tech just dominated, just dominated from the very beginning. Hope we do this to UGA. We'll see. Yeah, backup slider is, kind of a backup slider. Some people will say, can be the best pitch in the game but that's only true if you're facing good hitters, because good hitters see slider out of the hand and they know what it's going to do, so it can fool them when it doesn't do what it's supposed to do. But bad hitters, it's usually not good. It's usually not a good pitch because they're like, they don't really know what they're seeing, and then it doesn't move like it's supposed to, and it goes right into their barrel instead of them swinging over top and missing it. In the third, he threw 3 pitches, I think. Then Tech had a great 4th inning. Yeah, that 3rd inning. Yeah, I didn't know it was 3. I think I was getting the stream set up, so I was like in between. I was trying to get it up on the computer, and I pulled the game up first, but I missed like maybe 5 minutes, and that must have been it then, because I know it was quick. Because I came back into the game, and it was like the inning was over. All right, guys, that's going to be it for me tonight. I'll see you guys tomorrow night. Great first win for Georgia Tech. We got some massive series starting tomorrow. But, we're in conference play now in the major conferences. So college baseball is about to get to prime time as far as every weekend being just must-watch baseball. So thanks for joining, guys. Wiley Ballard says, good night, King. Good night.